sparkling day. Excuse me. Welcome to Porchlight Letters podcast, number 2480. Today we're talking about tracing women through generations. Did you know that women are often some of the hardest ancestors to trace in family history research? And it's not because their stories are less important, but because historical records often recorded women through the identities of the men around them. A woman may appear in records as someone's daughter, someone's wife, someone's widow, someone's mother, and sometimes not by her first name at all. It's actually quite interesting tracing females and finding out what they've done and that sort of thing, especially if you know they've been, if you're looking for marriage records and sometimes you can't find them under their maiden name. It could be that they somehow got married during the time period, before the time period that you're looking, and they're actually, for their second marriage, they're using their first married name. Add in a maiden name, remarriages, spelling variations, missing records, social customs of the time, and tracing women through generations can become incredibly challenging. I have found this in my own family tree, researching that. You get Mrs. John Smith. They're just there as the Mrs. And they're the Mrs. of John Smith. You don't even know what their name is. And they're reported in the newspapers that way. Mrs. J. Smith, Mrs. M. Jones, and all of this sort of thing. You see it when they are talking about some high tea that was had or a party or a committee meeting. It's all listed by Mrs., the husband's initial, the husband's last name. So unless you know for certain that that married woman was in that area at that time and did belong to that community, it is hard to say, well, yes, that's her, so let's attach her to the records. You got to be careful with this because there can be a lot of the Mrs. Like I was talking about a couple of days, 2-3 days ago, we were talking about how careful you have to be with some records where we had, I can't remember what name we used. I think it was Kevin Morris Smith, I think we used, that there were two of them born within weeks of each other in two different towns in the same county, and both of their mothers had the same first name, like something like Gertrude. And so but they both had the same last name, but they had different husbands. So it made it very difficult because you had, and unfortunately the husbands had a first names that started with the same letter. So it wasn't even Michael and John. It was like Aaron and Andrew. It was 2 A's. So you had Mrs. A. Smith. Which one was it? We don't know. There was no way to tell unless you knew a lot about that person's life. So they can be tricky to find, but we can find them. Yet some of the most powerful family stories. Sorry, my washing machine just got a little unbalanced. Some of the most powerful stories are found when these women are finally brought back into focus. Church records, obituary, probate files, newspapers, letters, school records, even witnesses on marriage certificates can provide important clues as to who the women are. There was one marriage certificate I was looking at for a client, and we had a look at the witness list, and it turned out that on the witness list, there was, unless it stops, I can't do anything about it. Anyway, so if you're hearing this thudding noise, it's my washing machine getting off balance a little bit. So on the witness list, there were 2 couples listed. There was the brother of the groom and his wife, and then there was the brother of the bride and his wife. So we got to see, and they signed their names. We actually got to see their first names written down because the women wrote their first names as part of their signature, which was really cool. So you were able to get some information out of that. Witnesses are very important. Sometimes the key to finding woman's story is researching the entire family around her. Often we talk about sometimes in order to go up the line through the grandparents, you have to go sideways through their siblings. That's the one way that you can help find the woman, is find their siblings, their in-laws, their neighbors, their children, their family friends. Good genealogy is not just about tracing surnames. It is about making sure women who shaped families, carried traditions, and endured hardships and raised future generations are remembered too. They have some, and I will tell this, the women have some amazing stories. When you find them, there are some amazing stories that can be found with them. And with that, we are out of here. If you want help finding your female relatives, just come up here to the QR code, give it a scan, set up a 30-minute discovery call, and let's get you on the track of finding your female relatives or ancestors. With that, we are out of here. Go out, have a super fantastic sparkling day. We'll catch you guys back here tomorrow evening at 6 p.m. Pacific. Hey,